material. They'd get really taking this seriously. And at the same time, and I don't know what year it was, but I remember Tom Petty was on MCA, and he had just presented a double album to the label. And his A&R guy said, he said, look, we're only going to do a single album. And he was pushing and pushing and pushing from what we heard to do this double album. And they said, no, we're just putting out a single album, and MCA won out, and they put out the single album. At the same time, we're talking with this band, and we're saying, look, you got to write more material. You really have to write more material. And the A&R man, say his name, he was very, very adamant about them writing more. So we said, look, you got to write some more. You're taking a very lax attitude, and this is a real opportunity here. You guys can really do something here. They like you. They don't have an act like you, and they're looking right now. And the singer said to my brother and I, who was my partner in managing the band, he said, look, man, this is odd. This is odd. You got to tell him that you can't force art. I can't force art. You guys can't force art. You can't force art. When it comes out, it comes out. Man, no way can you force art. So I said, listen, Picasso, write some fucking songs. Not rock operas, not symphonies. Write some fucking songs. Write some 3-chord songs that you're always writing. What are you talking about? Write some songs. This guy's gonna throw you on his head, on your head. He doesn't care about you, your art or whatever. Get some damn songs out. And he says, well, we got an album's worth of material. I said, who said you have an album's worth of material? Tom Petty just came to these guys and said, I have 2 albums worth of material. And they said, no, you don't, Tom. You have 1. Tom Petty with gold records all over, the platinum records all over the place. They said, no, Tom, you got 1 album. We're putting out 1 album, not your double album. You want 1 album. What kind of clout do you think you have? You have 1 album's worth of material? In other words, you have 12 songs? What the hell are you talking about? He'll decide. You're the have-not. He's the have. He'll decide who has 1 album worth of material. So I think after that, we got so paranoid. My brother and I got so paranoid about bands without a lot of material. And we would start saying, listen, before we start shopping anything, how much material you guys have? What do you have? What do you have for backup? They ask for more. Do you have anything to give them? Or you're gonna have to stop what you're doing, stop playing, stop showcasing, and start writing and recording? You gotta have a glut of material. So that's the other thing I would say is make sure you have material. And if you're recording an album a year, every year of your life, and 4 or 5 years pass, and all of a sudden somebody's looking at you from a major label or major management company or something that could really launch you. If they say, well, what else do you have? You go back. You have 5 albums worth of material. You have 50 songs to choose from, plus whatever you have, ready to go or not recorded yet. I mean, to me, that's a big thing. I mean, and it all kind of falls together. So instead of saying, look, our goal is to make it big in the next 3 or 4 years, the goal should be, we want to be a 10-album band. And we don't care. We don't give a shit if a single person buys these records. We don't care if anybody likes them. We don't care if everyone hates these albums. We're going to put out albums every year of our lives, maybe 2 albums every year of our lives for the rest of our lives. What the hell? What's to stop them? And if they do it under the same band, a band stays together that long, they're a 10-album band. Again, I mean, look around, do some research. There are very few 10-album bands that don't have some market, that don't have some kind of career going for themselves. And I'll say this, I'm convinced that I listen to more unsigned music than anybody alive. I don't think anybody's listened to more unsigned bands than I have. And I mean, every day I'm on MySpace. Anytime I'm home alone and I'm watching the kids or doing something and, multitasking with something, I'm looking at bands, I add bands. And I'm seeing real good things, but a lot of them, to me, a lot of bands look like they're gonna hang in there for about 1 album's worth of a shot and then just give up. It's when I see, and I'm starting to read unsigned bands MySpace pages, and they said, well, we're on our 3rd album, we're on our 4th album. All of a sudden, you know, that to me, that starts looking like something. And you start thinking, wait, I wonder what their other stuff sounds like. It's like maybe this new stuff is a new direction, and maybe their old material was much better than this. But I mean, you see this, and I've asked a lot of bands, and you know, the different bands have gotten deals, you know, just from corresponding with us through MySpace. I mean, a bunch of bands actually. But to me, you know, unsigned bands are always at a huge disadvantage. And I said this before, and we were kind of laughing about it, but a dear friend of mine passed away a couple years ago, and at this point, I guess it was 20 years ago, I was talking with him, and I was managing a project that he was in, and I took him from another project and put him in there. Great guitarist, great songwriter, really solid, versatile musician. And I said to him that the unsigned musician, unfortunately, it has the social status, or the equivalent of the social status of a topless dancer. And, you know, they were laughing and we were joking about it. And he and the drummer that was in the project said, you know what, you're wrong. Topless dancers make more money than unsigned original musicians. And it actually brings up a point. So, now here you are in a situation where you're starting out, you against the world, we against the world, and I mean, nobody wants to help you. I mean, promoters are out there really ripping people off by saying you got to sell this many tickets before you can play a show. I mean, that's bullshit, right? You can't play a club unless you sell 20 tickets, 40 tickets, 50 tickets. I mean, it's like ridiculous, and that's not promoting. I mean, that's guaranteeing. You know, the promoter is getting a guaranteed band from the band. And by the way, guess what? If you don't sell that many tickets, the band doesn't sell that many tickets, they're buying them themselves. So you're paying to play, which is ridiculous. But this is what goes on. Unsigned bands are in a completely, and when I say unsigned bands, I'm talking about unsigned original acts, are in a completely different situation. Cover bands make money. I mean, they go and they play weddings. They're never going to make it big, or they don't have a real shot at making it big. But, you know, they make money. They're at a different status than what we talked about before. But an unsigned musician, no matter how great they are, until they have a market, or until they have some kind of deal or some kind of notoriety, the unsigned musician, the unsigned act, the unsigned band, until they have some kind of notoriety, really their status is what we joked about before, and it's horrible. And it could be the greatest musician, could be the greatest people. God.